I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know so-and-so, you not a threat, cause I really know so-and-so, they like my family, so they go pretend that they cool till they bust at your motherfucking chest. I'm getting gutter, my flow been like butter, my check in the bank, they see the number. All of my haters feel one of two ways, really upset or they show some respect. I can't even think about it, I've been up, so read about it, no beat around it, straight to it, no ring around it. You coming for me, we'll see about it, we'll never see it when I get my feet up. 100 meters where I run the fee up, and go from king and on a monopia. I had to re-up on a reel, so you stay defeated, and put it back into the bit, cause I don't really need it. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I had to put all their egos in check. You're not entitled to anything else. I get 10 years of this under my belt. Your art isn't art, they don't feel it, and nobody hears it. Initiative stay on the shelf. Your ego done got in the way. It gotta die today. It gotta go. You should be happy I lighten the load. The weight of your arrogance, heavy as stone. I make an appearance, they already know. That chip on your shoulder gon' crumble and fold, yeah. It's not a secret that you have been fearing the shit that I'm on. So you back to the brag and the boast. But I'm in a class of my own. I heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check.
No, I'm just totally fucking with you. The audio's totally fine. The audio, I actually did a lot of checks. I did many checks before this. I'm just fucking with all of you. Of course, I'm not going to be that stupid again to not have good audio. What type of person would I be? I just like seeing the no audio thing in the thing. It's fun. It's fun. Oh boy, we've got a lot to talk about. We're gonna expand on some things too. I want to expand on some topics from the video I posted on Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Also want to talk about some of these American drone manufacturers because I had a little bit of time to research and look through everybody's portfolio of drone. You can't even say drones because there's not multiple drones to accomplish the jobs that some companies can do with their platforms. But anyways, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I'm going to expand on what this proposal actually means because I think there's some confusion. I'm seeing there's a lot of confusion. Some people think it wouldn't affect anything at all. Some people do. So I want to clarify all of that, try to be as critical as I possibly can. So first things first, I have a pinned document that was not drafted by me. A member of our community here on this channel drafted this awesome letterhead that you can use as a template. It's a Google Drive document. And the gentleman on Twitter, if you're interested in following him, is McVery Drones. It's McVerry Drones. It's at McVery Drones on Twitter. So thank you so much for going ahead and drafting this because God knows I didn't even have time to draft a template. I fired off a half-assed email to the one senator that would accept emails, or I should say the one House representative that would accept emails. However, it's only 500 characters, so you have to be very witty with those 500 characters. So I think he did a great job with this template. So feel free to modify it as you see fit when you download it. It's a good starting point. So you can send an email off to your representatives and hopefully get the ball rolling to shed some light on some of these ideas that they have. All right. With that being said, let's just quickly talk a little bit about the video. So we put out that video Sunday. I put the video out, and part of the idea behind that video was a lot of people are like, you're sensationalizing this a little bit. And I think to a certain extent that could be partially true. But unfortunately, sensationalism also breeds action, because when people fear they have something to lose, they tend to react a little bit more than if they think they have time. If you think about remote ID, I think a lot of us all downplayed it and thought, oh, it's not going to happen. Oh, we have time. And then next thing you know, remote ID is here. It's coming in September. It's going to be in full effect. So I didn't want to see that happen again. The more and more I start looking around the landscape of the drone scene, it's funny how, like, 4 years ago, when I first started flying, I felt like we had a lot more options when it came to drone manufacturers. There wasn't just, DJI, Autel, and Skydio. There was a lot of other manufacturers in the landscape. Not that they were great drones, but there were options, right? There were options that were available for you to choose which you wanted to fly. And now it feels like we really don't have options. And a lot of these companies are pulling out of the consumer landscape in favor for the commercial side, which is a big bummer for the people that like to fly, that do the type of work I do. I feel like my work leans more heavily on the consumer side. I'm a photographer, videographer, and we don't really have like a commercial application that I can go out and purchase today to fulfill that need. So I know people are like, well, how dare you, care more about your personal gain over the safety of this great nation? And I think that that is a sensationalized comment to classify a product that, was founded by somebody who I believe even went to school here for a period of time, and developed a great product to put that in, put that off that. I get it. I understand the way the Chinese hierarchy works. I understand all of those things, but I get to the point where you just feel like there's a lot of fear mongering happening. There's a lot of fear mongering happening. And sometimes my passion will get the best of me. And I looked at all the facts. I had a security analyst reach out to me. He presented me quite a bit of data. Most of the data that he showed me was quite old. It was old data. It was not relevant to 2021 on. It wasn't in the past 3 years. I would say not from when the Fly app was first created. So, and everything that he showed me was more bugs, vulnerabilities, not showing me like actual physical nefarious nature. So I didn't feel like anything there. And I'm not discrediting his research, but you're showing me bugs, you're showing me vulnerabilities, which every software has. Even, parts of Android for a long time had a lot of areas of insecurity. That's why we see these monthly security patches from Android now, because they're constantly keeping up with, the latest bugs and kernel fixes and things in that nature. So I get all of that. I understand that. But I just, looking over this particular bill, what this is essentially the covered list for the FCC. People seem to believe that this would only affect commercial applications or anything government funded. That is not the case. When a device is added or a company is added to the FCC covered list, essentially, they will not be able to apply for any future FCC certifications. That's all products that they create. That means gimbals, phones, cameras, whatever. It doesn't matter. If it requires an FCC certification, they would not be able to provide a certificate for any future products. Now, with that being said, does that mean that if they did push a ban like this through, would there be any detriment to current products? And I think when it comes to drones, it's a little more difficult than the situation that occurred with Huawei. And this was something I really didn't expand on in that video. With Huawei sort of got blackballed from companies that they depended on. They got blackballed from Google, which was huge because that was a phone that required that Google certification. They revoked their access to the Google Play Store. Obviously, that's a huge blow to Huawei not being able to be a part of that Google ecosystem, being that their base platform was Android, right? Huge blow. The other thing that that executive order that was signed, it basically allowed carriers to blacklist IMEIs that pertain to Huawei devices at the time. So from a perspective of banning these drones, it would be hard for like them to go out and say, okay, we're we're going to ground all of these aircrafts. They can't do that. They won't be able to do that. So they'll be able to fly for a long time as long as you have parts and batteries and everything's functioning. They'd be able to fly for a long time. From a technical standpoint, it's like, it's a ban. It would be a ban, but it's not something that would prevent you from being able to fly your aircraft. Just expanding on that a little bit further. But just know that future products wouldn't be able to come in. So that's where it's important to get out ahead of this in the first place. Another comment that I've seen quite frequently in that video, well, good, ban them. Maybe then American drones would have a chance. That is the dumbest fucking comment I have ever read in my entire life. If they didn't have a chance now, they're not going to have a chance then. You can't eliminate competition thinking you're going to make your product better. That's like me saying, I don't have 100,000 subscribers because there's so many other channels, but if I eliminate these other channels, people will subscribe to me. If people think I'm an asshole now, without the other people, they will still think I'm an asshole. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I think that's the best and easiest way to put it, is that you cannot kill off your competition thinking people are going to flock to you. That is the worst reason to do. That's like me trying to blackmail an ex-girlfriend into staying with me because we have a kid. I mean, luckily I've been married for, 19 years, 20 years almost. But that would be the equivalent, like trying to say, well, because we have a kid, you got to come here. No, that's stupid. You cannot force people to look at another product. You can't do that. You can't kill off competition to create revenue for yourself. The American drone manufacturers need to take the pine cone out of their ass and innovate and put out products that make people feel inspired, make people want to purchase. I mean, they're all focused on enterprise. Every last American manufacturer is 100% focused on enterprise. That's it. That's where, and I get it. There's a lot of money there. It's less of a risk. You know that big corporations are just going to cut a check for whatever product that you produce. Corporations are going to cut a check because they need it. So they're going to cut checks just like that. But what about the people that actually started a lot of these hobbies? A lot of drones and things of this nature came from the hobbyists, came from the people that were just passionate about creating a way to see different perspectives. What about them? They get nothing. They're chopped liver because they're not cutting these massive checks, or because they're not huge corporations. Those are the people that have the smallest voice that unfortunately get railroaded by situations like this. And unfortunately, a lot of this really does stem from some heavy lobbying. There's some heavy lobbying happening in Washington, D.C. There is a huge anti-China rhetoric that is sweeping the nation. Huge. And it's been happening for the past 4 years, but I feel like it's ramped up heavier since the war in Ukraine started. And like, people you have to choose sides, obviously. And if you don't choose a side, you're an idiot, you're an asshole, you're a dumbass, and no matter what side you choose, you're wrong. Makes no sense. And we're seeing this across the board entirely. And it sucks because I hate getting involved with politics. It's my least favorite thing to talk about. Politics and religion, I usually steer clear away from. Thank God didn't come down here and try to ban drones, because me getting into a fight with that situation, having these pastors bumping their chest and shit, it would be a cluster. Thank God it's not like that, because I would be screwed. I mean, I said it before. I'm on the highway to hell. So, I mean, it's sad. It's really sad. In MBA school, you were taught to eliminate competition when they are small. Yeah, and I mean, I can understand that, but you can't. David shouldn't be fucking trying to take out Goliath with a pea shooter. That's really what's going on. Jim Duffy says no sound. I don't know when that comment's from. I'm going to disregard that. I'm going to disregard that comment. I'm seeing audio waves. Don't fuck me. Don't fuck with me. Don't do that. All right. So let's get caught up on some of the comments here. But anyways, welcome to Drone Brews. I wanted to expand a little bit on that, because there has been a lot of comments on that video. Some good, some bad, some wild, wackadoo comments. I mean, super wackadoo comments. So you know what I mean. Gotta sort of sift through all the things that that people. Okay, I thought he was screwing with me. Thanks for covering. I was like, I saw that. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. So there's that. But let's jump into actually taking a look at some of these American manufacturers here. I have a screen window actually pulled up here with all of these manufacturers. So let me switch over to my desktop view. So now we're in the desktop view. Nope, wrong desktop view. I need the single desktop view. There we go. Fuck me. Why can't I win today? Why? Just why? Why? Is there nobody home in that window? Nobody home. Just kill me now. All right. So this is Teal Drone. So Teal Drone is owned by the Red Cat company. Red Cat also at one point, I think they still do. They owned Rotor Riot. So they have a couple of different interests in the industry. But they have the Golden Eagle. Not really like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the naming schematic on here. But this is definitely an interesting drone. Very commercial. Super commercial. I got a chance to see this at AVUSI. It's an interesting looking drone. I mean, 100%. It's made for tactical use. Definitely made for search and rescue type of experience. This is actually, I get that they're zooming in, but I don't think that's the best representation of what this drone could do. Look how jittery that shit is. Just God, that's so jittery. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but it still seems jittery as shit. I know they're zooming in. So we got Teal. Teal has 30 minutes plus flight time. Looks like it's got dual axis. So it's a dual axis gimbal. So that would make sense why we were seeing that sort of weird jitter. It's got a hardened 640R thermal sensor, 16 megapixel sensor. Looks like you can record at 4K at 15 frames per second. So that must be that night camera, sort of like the end sensor that the DJI Matrice has on the Starlight sensor. So it's 640 by 512 is the resolution, which is pretty. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a boson. Oh, so it's an IR sensor and it has a Bozar radiometric. So that's pretty nice. It's got a Snapdragon processor on board. So, I mean, this is actually packing some very decent specifications. It's just, it always boils down to the transmission and the way it actually flies. But that's Teal. Of course, Parrot. Parrot is always an option here in the States. So we have Parrot Anafi AI and Parrot Anafi USA. I will tell you, I've had a chance to try the USA, and it is a piece of shit in almost every regard. And I say that pretty much handedly, that it is pretty bad. $5 super chat from Ken Torbeck says, Apple makes more products in China than DJI, and Apple even uses slave labor at UR's camps. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that before. I've definitely heard that before. 51 drones in the chat there. So going 51. So that's Parrot. So Parrot has their whole deal going. Move on to Brink. So Brink used to be based in Las Vegas, and I recently saw that Brink looks like they have a Seattle office now. The very first time I ever got a chance to see the Lemur was not a very impressive drone. It was actually a drone that was made out of mostly hobby grade parts. I don't know if that is still the case today. It doesn't look like that with the Lemur 2. This looks like a much more refined version. But it's again, it's very much geared towards law enforcement, search and rescue type of situations like that. Everybody that has ever flown the Lemur 1 had nothing but bad things to say about it, at least from the law enforcement teams that I have worked with. So we'll have to see how the Lemur 2 actually operates. It's hard to really tell if this is improved quality or if it's still hobby grade stuff. I mean, this was basically an FPV drone that had LiDAR sensors and position in sensors, and was running like a version of iNav. Essentially, that's really what the lemur was. And it wasn't like, and they were charging like $16,000 at the time for this. So that was pretty insane at the time when I first saw the very first Lima. It was expensive, and then you had to go through all this training, which, by the way, you had to pay for the training. So one of the things with enterprise is that you'll realize is that when you buy an enterprise drone, there's often training packages that they sell. They sell training packages. Customer support now is a paid thing. Like, you have to pay to expedite your support. So you can see why a lot of these companies are heavily leaning towards the industrial and commercial side, is because it is much more profitable. Not only can you sell a drone, but then you can compact that sale with services, which makes it almost like an evergreen contract that these companies are able to sell potential buyers and purchasers. They're able to get these service contracts, which again makes this a little bit more evergreen, as to where if I sell it to a consumer's going to buy it, may buy a warranty or something like that, but I'm not going to make any more money. And I'm not going to get their additional money unless if something new comes out. And oh, by the way, that consumer may skip a version if something new came out and they just bought something the previous year. So that's why a lot of these companies are sort of shying away from consumer drones. Then, of course, we have Skydio. So Skydio is another option. This is another Blue UAS. Again, I have mixed feelings on Skydio. I think they could do great things. I just think they go about things in the wrong way. Then there's rumor that they will be exiting the consumer industry altogether. Like the Skydio 2 will be the last consumer drone that they produce. I don't know how true that rumor actually is. Part of me hopes it's true, but then part of me is like, well, wait a second. If they do leave that the consumer side, there's definitely nothing that could potentially fill that void. So it'll be tough to see. I hope I'm wrong with that. I hope Skydio does not leave the consumer scene, as much as I would like to see them leave. Full ban won't happen. Ban on public safety. Well, we're already seeing a ban on public safety, and that's carried out at a state level. A full ban could happen if they get added to the covered list. And the ban won't be directly DJI products per se. It will be DJI as a company not able to acquire additional FCC certifications. So read what the covered list actually does. The covered list will add them and basically blanket their product lines for the future that wouldn't allow them to acquire additional certifications until they were removed off that covered list, much like Huawei was placed on that. They're not able to get FCC certification here in the States. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't buy a drone and have it imported here into the United States. It just wouldn't have an FCC certification at that point. Again, possibly a little bit more convoluted, but it's something worth watching. Do I think it will happen? I don't think it will. But then again, I didn't think, the situation here in Florida would have happened. I did not think that they would all out ban Chinese related drones here in the state, because there was so much good that came from it. But again, I think we got out ahead of it a little bit too late. There wasn't enough of a push. And sadly, the person that is the sheriff's president, I don't think did enough to really push back on that and fight back, at what the governor was demanding, without understanding the loss that it was creating the state. But I didn't think it would happen here, but look what happened. So never disregard government's intentions, because if they want something enough, they will it. So, all right, so that's Skydio. And then, of course, we have FLIR Teledyne. And this drone we had at our shop here. So we had the Cirrus at DroneWorks. And at first, we were not impressed with it. And we're still not impressed with it. But when the ban happened here in Florida, our county ended up purchasing 2 of these Cirrus aircrafts, and that's what they use now. So they had to retire their Mavics and their Altels, and now, or at least Hernando County is using 2 Cirrus aircrafts here. And they're okay. They've gotten a little bit better with firmware, but obviously when you take a Mavic 3 Enterprise or an Evo an Enterprise away from these officers and then you give them this, they're sort of like, what the hell? They're like, this does not perform nearly as well. So they had to relearn these aircrafts and they had to relearn how these aircrafts actually respond, what their limitations were, how far they can push them, what to expect if something should happen with it. Because again, these are not cheap aircrafts either. But it was the only option that we can provide them immediately. They didn't want to go with Skydio. They didn't want to go with Teal. So the really only other option, we let them, we did let them use the Anafi USA, and they were not impressed with the Anafi, the build quality. Matter of fact, one of the landing feet, one of the officers broke the landing feet inadvertently in transport. So this was the only other viable option that we can provide our county members. So yeah, it does sort of look like an EXO. Yeah, well, the Cirrus is going to get a lot of traction because FLIR, huge company, lots of R&D is going into behind this. I mean, the drone, I will say the drone and the RC for the Cirrus feels very cheap. It feels more Chinese than Chinese drones, if you can believe that. But they do at least push out a tremendous amount of firmware updates, and it is one of the few aircrafts that sort of responds a little bit more like an Evo. I'd say the Cirrus flies more like an Evo than it does anything else, like a early on Evo, which isn't really saying much. But what it is saying is that a lot of these manufacturers are just really, 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 really behind the 8-ball when it comes to development. Like when you look across all of these aircrafts, they all very much still have the very same design. Like for the most part, like the Teal drone and the Skydio, except for the X2, do not fold up. They look pretty similar. Then you have the Parrot, which I think is the most oddly shaped of all of them. And then don't even get me started with the Parrot AI. That's a very unique, strange aircraft. And then of course you have the Cirrus. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple of other aircrafts. Of course, the Lemur, but the Lemur I think is very specific for law enforcement. But I digress. It's sad because all of these, one of the questions I got, will any of these drones that we talk about tonight be good for consumers? And the answer is no. A consumer is not going to want to pay the price tag on any of these aircrafts here. When you try to find something that actually is a Mavic competitor for a consumer, really, realistically, the only thing out there is Autel drones. But again, the reason why I'm not really harping on that is simply because they are still made from a Chinese company. They still run the same greater risk that people are claiming from DJI. So it's one of those situations where it sucks. It sucks. But again, fast forward a couple of months from now, maybe this gets squashed and goes away. I think that what's going to end up happening is with the election ramping up, I think a lot of this won't be talked about and it'll be swept under the rug until, after the election and we see what party is in control at what time. But you got to ask yourself sometimes, what if? Like I'm always asking myself, what if? Whether it be with drones, YouTube content, even with my businesses, I always play the what if game because I always like to have a not an exit strategy, but a course of action. Like if I have to reroute, how am I going to reroute, my week, my month, whatever. So having plans into effect, and not contingency plans essentially, but having a plan into effect is useful especially when flying drones for a living is your living, right? So that's why I always look at that the way I do. People always say, well, I think you're overreacting. I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's got to be preemptive. Bear Essential Aerials, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. As always, I really appreciate it. If I haven't mentioned already, tonight's stream is powered by the Pilot Institute. If you haven't already, check out that link in the description below. We have courses on sale, and right now, members of the BREW crew and beyond use code DRONEBREWS and save, I think, 40%. I'm not 100% sure, but that code is supposed to be the highest rated discount. So whether you're looking to get your 107 or you're looking to expand your aviation knowledge and you want to learn about mapping or real estate, we have courses available. Right now, my course is on sale. And if you use code DroneBrews, you can save even more. So again, check out the link in the description below. And big thank you to Pilot Institute for powering tonight's stream. Because if it's not Pilot Institute, it's crap. I don't know. So I feel like I've heard that somewhere. Anyways, but there you go. And that's the prime example. Like, so you just, yep, that's it. So basically, I can grab a new DJI drone and not fuck myself in 6 months. I don't think you're going to fuck yourself. I mean, you can't go wrong purchasing the drones. Here's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. I always say you can't play what ifs. You know what I mean? We can't play what ifs. I think that a lot of what's happening right now may not happen. You know what I mean? It's just on the docket. Like, we're talking about it. We're getting out in front of it as a collective whole. I think everybody is getting out in front of it, and I think that's good, because if we don't talk about it and and there's not enough of a pushback, they think that they can just do whatever they want, but they can't. So I think you're fine buying a drone. If you want to buy a drone, because if you have it, they can't take it. They'd have to pry that drone out of your cold, dead hands before they take it from you. Once you own it, it's yours. So there's that. Trying to get caught up on questions. There are quite a bit of it. Will you teach it? Actually, one of the courses I do teach. So the real estate course, Billy and myself both teach that course. And I think total amount of time in that course is like 6 hours. So it's a pretty long course, but it's really in depth, that we go through everything soup to nuts. And the best part is we teach both Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro. The only thing we haven't dabbled with is DaVinci Resolve, but I am working on that to add that in for the video editors that are going to try to dabble with DaVinci. So definitely a lot of options there. Let's see. Gene Fox, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate you watching the stream, even though you are working. There are 187 of you tonight, and I got to say, thank you so very much for all of you. And for the 2 dickheads that dislike this stream, I mean, honestly, this may be my best stream. I have kept the F words down to a freaking minimum. I even shaved, showered, and got a haircut for the stream, and you're going to disrespect me by dropping 2 dislikes? You scumbag. You scumbags. Disrespect me like that. How dare you? Come on. Should put a little respect on the name. Come on. You own 2 now. Taj, if you own 2 now, you're good. You don't need any more. 2 is all you'll ever need. Who teaches the mapping course? I'm sure I'm going to screw up his name, but his name is Jared. I want to say it's Janisek. I just call him, easy enough. I just call him the Mad Mapper. That's literally what I call him. But Jared is probably one of the best in the industry when it comes to mapping. He's made an entire living from mapping. I cannot recommend that course enough. It is the most complete and in-depth mapping course that is out there right now. And want to know how we know is we've literally done the research on others' courses to figure out where they were lacking when we put together each course. Even real estate, like when we started heading down the path to put down those courses, we tried to figure out where people were lacking and what we can add additionally to make it 1 different and make it 2 better. So those are what we do there. The 2 dislikes came from Skydio. You know what? They could be. It could be the 2 dislikes came from Skydio. Wouldn't shock me. Now there's 3. Maybe that was now there's 2. There's 93 likes. Can we get the stream to 100 likes? I don't think we've ever got a stream to 100 likes live. So let's see if we can do 100 likes live. I'm without a co-host because he's incapacitated due to the New York fires. So pour one out for the lips. Can we get some lips in the chat? Some lips emojis for Eddie, who's not with us tonight. The air quality was so low, we wouldn't been able to see him if he decided to stream. He wouldn't have been able to see, and obviously air quality being as low as it is in New York, he wouldn't have been able to last very long because breathing gets a little heavy for him. The lips, they weigh a lot, so it's a little bit more difficult for him. So pour one out for Eddie, and make sure you drop some lips emojis in the chat for him. He likes to watch this on his subway ride into work. All right, so let's get to there's the lips. Let's get to Janacek. Is that how you pronounce Jared Janacek? Janacek? Or is it pronounced Y? Janacek. I'll just have him tell me. You mean it's better than Drone U? Yes. Silver Surfer 100%. Michael Belshi, try that Drone Brews code, because I believe the Drone Brews code works on Jared's course as well. 98. We made 98. I think we're over. We're at 122 likes. That is the most likes we've ever gotten live. 184 watching, 3 dislikes still. So Skydio, Ron DeSantis, and maybe the sheriff of my county disliked the stream. I'm not sure. I'm just joking, Sheriff. We love you. He's good. Don't pull me over. His lips dried up. Yeah, it's dry up there, man. It's dry up there. All right, let me get to the Janacek. So I'm going to yawn, and then I'm going to and then I'm going to check. So Janacek. What a fantastic name there, Jared. Janacek. Jared Janacek. So do you yawn every time somebody presents you a check? Because I would just take it and be happy. All right, enough of that. That was a corny joke. Terrible joke. Let's have a beer, shall we? We haven't had a beer tonight. We are drinking piss. This is also not from America, because I'm keeping with the theme of the stream, basically because everybody's like, you damn commie. So I'm going to have a beer from Mexico. My good friends in Mexico have sent me this Corona. I'm just joking. I bought it from the dollar store. La Cerveza, everybody. Wednesday night. God bless it. You can drag out the if you like. Janacek. Okay, I like it. I'll get it. I think we could get 150 likes. And you know what it is? It's all because we're powered by Pilot Institute tonight. That's why we're slamming down. And now, seemingly, Skydio has revoked their dislikes. Now there's only one dislike. Thank you, Skydio. The only dislike that's still there is from Governor Disaster. Damn it. Ken, are you going to get the new Apple VR goggles? No. I am not spending $3,500 to something I can strap to my face. Now, here's the truth. I had a theory about the Apple goggles. There would be only one reason. Why I would buy the Apple goggles. But unless we get to 150 likes, I will not tell you the reason, because this stream will instantly be demonetized, and I would be named a monster. If I told you why I would buy the Apple VR goggles. It's the most ridiculous, outlandish reason, the most inappropriate reason at that. Speaking of companies in America that can produce a drone, Tesla. Yes, Tesla. Now I think Skydio's just fucking with me now. They're just playing with my emotions. That's what they're doing. Damn Skydio. Now we're at 140. We're 10 away from figuring out exactly why I would buy the Apple VR goggles. You guys better start drinking now. This one's a doozy. All right, we're almost there. Lon, thank you so much for all the wonderful emojis. I'd get a drone before I'd get those Apple VR goggles. I agree. You can buy a lot. The VR goggles, when I first heard thoughts about these goggles being presented, I was like, oh my God. Now, what would be cool is if drone applications could take advantage of those goggles. Could you imagine? Because technically you're still within line of sight, since you can still see out past it. I didn't even think about that, but I don't think I would still buy it at that. But could you imagine with those goggles having like the Fly app loaded into there and being able to use those would be expensive goggles, of course. 149. All right, we're at 153. So the real reason why I would buy the Apple VR goggles is, do you know who Miss Incredible is from the Incredibles? The lady, the hot cartoon character. The reason why I would buy the VR goggles is because I would strap them to my face, and I would use a Disney filter for when I banged my wife, so she would be Miss Incredible. And it's just amazing. So that's why I would buy the VR goggles. Like I said, it's a pretty fucked up reason, but it's my reason. Everybody has their reasons. So now you can all die happy. And the stream just plummeted. Now, Skydio liked that response, so now they've removed their dislikes. She's not real. She's real in my heart. She's freaking real in my heart, Intel. I've had a crush on that freaking cartoon for a long time. They'll never send me those goggles because they'll know my intent. Thank God some of you guys started drinking earlier than I did. Miss Incredible. Yeah. That's what I said. Let me know. Misha says, let me know where you're moving. No, she knows she knew what she signed up for when she signed up for this. So trust me, she knows darn well. Exactly, Joe. Thank you. Thank you. Won't the 2-hour battery life hurt your bang? It may, but luckily you can plug it into an Anker power bank. But I do think there's some real application, real world use application by using that with the drone app. That would be so cool if they allowed for that to work or allowed developers to take advantage of that API. Obviously, super 1% type of thing because, Jesus, $3,500 strapped to your face. I mean, that's insane. That's insane. That's a lot to spend on. Anyway, so Apple goggles, yeah. All right, so we talked about the American drones. We talked a little bit more about the video because, like I said, I had a lot of wackadoo comments. I think that covers everything for tonight's stream. I think this was an efficient stream. We're at 162 likes. I think that's the most we've ever gotten live. Thank you. That is really swell. That is super swell. Again, in the description here, or I should say in the chat, pinned in the section there, pinned at the very top is a template. Everybody asks for a template that they can just, fire off an email sort of in their own words. Well, thank you, McVeary Drones. That is in the chat. What was this comment? 200 coming up. What was that? Thank you, Guitar Stuff. I don't know why that got removed. I don't know why did they remove him? 200 coming up. That was a good thing. 177, 163. That's a good thing. That was an accident. Brad, quick on the fingers, man. Quick on the fingers, brother. All right, so we're going to. I don't know. Should I show this? I have something unique. That I want to show for the Mavic series. It's a really unique product that we created that I think would be interesting. I'm in the testing stages, but I don't want to put too much work into it if it's not going to be interesting enough for people. So this was something that GoPro made something like this for the Mavic Pro. I don't know if you remember the Mavic Pro. Does anybody remember the Katana? Let me see where this is. Let me see if I can find it. All right, so here it is, product debut. I want to show you this. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this here. So we got the Mavic 3 Pro. Mavic 3 Pro has a phenomenal camera. I love this camera system. The 3 cameras are amazing. So we've come up with a sort of an interesting solution here. So I'm calling this the corset. And essentially, it's a strap that's going to go around the Mavic like so. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to pull back a little bit. It has ventilation slots. It even has, at the very bottom of the Mavic, you have an area for a .20. Check this out. This is the coolest thing about this. We use a Picatinny rail that you would find for like a gun. And you could just lock it wherever you want to lock it. So if you're a gun owner that has one of these rails, you don't need anything else because that's what we used. You just simply lock this and it clamps to the top of the Mavic. So we're clamping it now. So this is pretty cool. So this is a clamp just like that. Obviously, there could be other use cases for that. So that clamps like that. And then we created the Love Handle Enterprise for the RC Pro. Check this out. I'll show you this. So what you're going to do is take the RC Pro and you're going to simply just screw it into the top of the Mavic. So for anybody that doesn't buy a camera or they want a video camera, but they can't fly a drone, for whatever terrestrial reasoning you would need the Mavic to be grounded, essentially now you have a poor man's Ronin 4D essentially. So what that allows you to do is that if you want to use the Mavic, terrestrial, you can use it from a terrestrial standpoint and keep it on the ground and all that fantastic work. Works as a gimbal, works pretty darn good. On the Mavic 3 Pro, it does require you to have the legs open. So you have to have the legs spread to use it. I know that sounds terrible, but at least the front legs have to be spread. Shit, I'm saying this wrong. The front legs have to be open. The front legs have to be open. So that way you can actually utilize the gimbal to its full articulation. So the full articulation will allow you to move left to right seamlessly. If you don't open those arms, it will actually bump it and you'll get an error because the gimbal is tapping the arm. So but it works really well, and it's crazy the type of footage that you can get just from the ground. And with that 70mm lens, you now have like 2 cameras in one. So I was sitting there thinking about this a couple of weeks ago. I was like, you know what? This would be a cool idea to put it together. And the way it works, I mean, it is super stiff, works great. And yeah, so we're calling it the Corset. Should be available in the next few days or so. Yeah. You know what? And that's where drone shots, it's funny you say that because that's where we got this idea. We kept seeing people grab these Inspires and use it like that. But that is also one of the reasons why we put a quarter 20 down here at the bottom, because you can put a little handle. You know how they have those little Insta-1 handles? So with this, you can actually put a little quarter 20 in there. You could fly it like that. You can fly it like this. So if you wanted to come down land and somebody wanted to then grab the Mavic and continue on with the shot from the ground, you can do that. You can do a lot of cool shots by taking a drone out of the air, but this makes it safer if you're trying to land it. So there's some benefits to using it like that. So I don't know, just try to do something a little bit different. We were messing around with some ideas and designs, and this popped into our mind. So yeah, so I have a video coming out on this Monday. I'll be showcasing some footage that we shot. People were asking on a video about the footage, whether or not it was the FX3 or if it was the Mavic 3 Pro. So we'll finally reveal what camera that actually was. So pretty stoked to actually show that. So there's that. All right. We are at 9:46. I'll go ahead, open it up to all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead, drop them in the chat. I'm going to try to answer all that I can. 180 live viewers, 168 likes, 2 dislikes, Ron DeSantis and Skydio. If you haven't already, you can become a member of the channel today. Last week or the week before, we did our first live stream. That was the May members only live stream. That's where you get to join into the stream live. It's sort of like a big giant hangout Zoom call. It was actually pretty cool. We did that Saturday morning. It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. I think everybody was still drinking coffee. So there you go. Will I use that for your shoots on a house now? I don't think I'll use it on the shoots from the house now. I still really like having my FX3. I think the FX3 does a fantastic job. But I think that this is great for the people that bought a drone, but they don't have a camera, but then they want to get some cool shots, but then they don't have a camera to get those cool shots and they can't fly their drone. I think this could suffice as like a great alternative. Yeah, I could probably create a quick release for the RC Pro. Well, you could actually, you could just throw it on a, you could make your own quick release. You could buy your own quick release just using an Arca Swiss plate. You can do that. So Arca Swiss plates would work just equally as well. I don't think you need to have quick release built in. I was trying to keep costs down because these mounts, those rail mounts that you buy, you know, they're obviously for a gun. They're pretty expensive. They're pretty expensive. FX3 better than A1, or does it overheat? The FX3 never overheats, but if you're looking for a camera that you can be a jack of all trades, the A1 is a good jack of all trades. Matter of fact, all of my studio shots that I filmed for the videos I've been doing recently have all been filmed on the A1. It can overheat depending on what you're filming in, but I haven't had it overheat on me in a long time with the latest firmware. But the FX3 is just a beautiful, beautiful camera for low light. It's amazing for real estate. I love it for photo or for videos, not for photos, but for videos. Have I ever used the Insta360 X3 or Spear? I have not used the Insta360 at all. Haven't used Insta360. I've not really been big on 360, to be completely honest with you. Do I think the Air 3 is coming next month? It's hard to say. Personally, I haven't heard anything, and I think a lot of people haven't really heard anything about the Air 3. I think it's going to be coming eventually, but I don't know if it would have been wise for them to release it this month, given the fact that just last month they released the Mavic 3 Pro. That wouldn't have been a great idea to do, so it'd be hard to really talk about. What about Exo Blackhawk 2? That is the Exo drones are garbage. You need to stay away from Exo. Exo is basically not Exo. It's a garbage brand. Stay away from them. Do you still have the nutsack mount for the DJI FPV? I think I still have the nutsack somewhere. I've just not printed them in a long while, but we do. Where's your Etsy order? I think your Etsy order shipped there, Mr. 107. I think Ethan just shipped your order. I'll double check with him. What sort of nut job orders 6 freaking strappets? Yeah, thank you for answering that. You got there before me. Yeah, so I had the A1 out in Vegas and it didn't overheat, but again, it wasn't like August. Actually, no, did I have the A1 in August? I did not have the A1 in August. I had the A1 out there the last time I went, and both times I've actually brought it out there, I haven't had any overheating. Panda Drones, what up, Dobo? Let's see. Barkley does need a wrench. Let's fix that. We're gonna fix that. Barkley, do you solemnly swear to do right by the Drone Brews chat and to always put assholes in timeout? I bestow upon you moderator privileges. Now I can make you a managing moderator. That gives you higher capabilities. Now you're in the hierarchy. You're no longer a standard moderator. You're a managing moderator. That is a lot more like, that's serious right there. You're now like superpowered times 10. Let's see. We got Bob Casey. Says, Ken, do you make that bracket for the Air 2S series? I use my drone as a gimbal. We are going to be making them for other drones. I just wanted to see how it was going to do with the Mavic 3 Pro. But if there's enough interest, we're going to do Mavic 3, Air 2S, the Mini. We're going to make it for the Mini because I think that'd be cool for vertical stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. When you get more batteries, do they fly more? I don't know. All right. Barkley is officially wrenched. He's a super double plus good moderator. Yeah, I mean, he's been vetted by the best. Thanks for the information. What's the best way to get flight clearance near an airport? Freaking Sarasota tried a loft and was denied because they never responded to my request. Okay, so now maybe it's not just me. So I had a situation a couple of days ago. I needed to fly near Tampa, and they want you to file your request within 72 hours. And it was a Friday into the weekend. So I filed my request, never heard back to me, and they never, nobody ever acknowledged it. Now you can go through the drone zone, but that takes a lot longer than going through a loft. I do like a loft, but I don't know what's going on with ATC. It feels like these requests are going unnoticed. I may have to reach out to a loft and ask them what's going on, because if you're having that issue, I bet you other people in our area are also having similar issues. So that's funny you say that, because Tampa also didn't respond to mine. And I try to file it again. Of course, I'm within that window. Ken, are those pictures behind you for sale? Actually, no. Those are just pictures I've shot when I was in Philadelphia and Tampa. I actually also have, to the right of there, I also have Santa Cruz and all that stuff. So as I start flying new locations, I'm going to take new photos, and I'm going to have, like, my goal is to have pictures going down the wall and throughout the office. But all along my travels, I try to print these. I think that's 16 by 24 in an IKEA frame. So I probably need to stock up on those frames so I can keep them all similar. You need something to stand up the RC Pro. Well, then what you need is the love handle. You need to have the love handle Enterprise. So this is the love handle Enterprise on here. And if you mount that to a little tiny tripod, then it stands up because there's a 1/4-20 on the back side of there. And if you don't put any screws in there, you can even pull it out super quick. And then when you need to stow it, you can put it right back in. So, we thought of everything here at Original Dobo Enterprises. Question, are you using the Avata for your real estate work? I have used the Avata for some shoots, but I often still use a custom-built Cinewoop. When I need the Avata, I will use it, or when I can use the Avata, I will. But if I'm in a certain, airspace where it may cause me problems and I have Lance authorization to fly, I'm not going to use it. I still like to use my squirts, my Shendrone squirts. I love those things. They fly amazing. And I can control them. You need a tripod. Buy a tripod. Get the freaking the Peak Design tripod's actually really nice. It's expensive. I think there's another one. I forget the name. I'll send you a link for it. But there's another one. It's really super lightweight and portable. Like a kickstand for the M30. I may be able to work on something. 183 likes. Thank you guys so much. That is amazing. We're possibly gonna hit 200. We may just hit 200 likes. I don't know. Ken, what did you think of Ken Herron's video he put out this week about the police confrontation? I commented on that video. I've had several similar interactions like that down in downtown Tampa. So there's a very popular waterfront park in downtown Tampa, just outside the Class B airspace. It is Curtis Hickson Park. A lot of people go there. I've flown there numerous times, and it was like 2 months ago, I was flying there, and I had security come up to me and say, "Hey, you can't fly here. It's illegal to fly here." And I said, "No, that's not the case. Like, I can fly here. Like, there's no rule that states here." And they said, "No, we've banned drones from the park." I said, "Okay, well, I just go to the sidewalk." "Well, you can't do that because that's city property." I said, "Listen, there's no ordinance here in Tampa that states that aerial aircraft, such as drones, cannot take off from city property. There's no ordinance." And I went through Hillsborough County's like ordinance book, and I didn't see anything in there. Like, I saw nothing. Like, they have some outdated about like RC cars or some shit like that at the park, but there was nothing that specifically said about drones. So I went back. Literally, I walked right back onto the grounds. I took off, went straight up in there. He said, "Well, we're calling the cops." Cop shows up, and first thing he says to me, he goes, "What type of drone is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the Mavic 3. He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "I've got the Mavic 2 Pro." So we start having a conversation about drones. Nicest cop I've probably ever met. I start having a conversation about drones. He goes, "Yeah, hey." He goes, "The security here for the Sykes building is a little bit crazy about people taking off because somebody hit the building." So he basically ushered me to like take off around the corner away from their visibility. But I was like, all right, that was a cool cop. Now, it was back in November before all that, same spot, another PD officer kicks me out of there, and we got into, I want to say we sort of got into a knockdown, drag down argument. I wasn't threatened to be arrested or anything like that, but if I would have kept arguing, I probably would have got arrested. The only saving grace was it was Thanksgiving morning. I was down there on Thanksgiving morning. There was not a soul to be found except for this cop. And I think it was because they were setting up for a concert. Like, there was like stage equipment in the back. Maybe that's why he was being a little bit more of a dickhead. But yeah, he was very similar. Now, my thoughts on that were, I think they handled it pretty good. I mean, here's the reality. Like, you're not going to ever win with guys like this. You can stand up to them, but a lot of times you just will not win against law enforcement in that situation. I usually try to use reverse psychology on them. And I would say, "Oh, wow, when did they change that?" And be like, you got to sort of use their ego against them. some cops like that, they're egomaniacs. So you can use that against them, and that usually works. But in that instance, for what I witnessed, I mean, that was just, I don't know. That was a weird situation. Could have went ugly though. Yeah, I mean, that was a very difficult situation. It's a difficult situation, and it's a good thing you weren't arrested, but it's one of those situations where I always think about this. Like somebody said to me the other day, it's principle versus cost or something, because I was looking to file a lawsuit or something on somebody over a situation, and they were just like, "Listen, you're going to spend countless dollars over principle. It's just not worth it." And sometimes it's like that. Like, you know, in that instance, it's one of those things where you just silently file a complaint with the supervisor, or you reach out to a supervisor after the fact. It could have been wrong time, wrong place. Like you just never know with that. I mean, I always like to err on the side of safety when it comes to dealing with law enforcement in those situations. It sucks. It no doubt sucks, because you feel helpless in those situations. But I still feel like reverse psychology really works well with these people. Victor, I don't think the getting a big ticket is a worrisome thing. There have been people that have been fined, right? There have been people that have been fined, but for every instance where I've seen somebody being fined, or they're, the largest FAA fines, these are people that have done it to themselves, right? They have ignored every single warning sign. They have broken every single rule, and they have just 100% did it to themselves. They are their own worst enemies. So in those instances, yeah, there could be some definite catastrophic fines, but those are people that have done it 100% to themselves. If you don't do things that are going to potentially net you a fine, you're going to be fine. I recently bought a DJI Avata controller with Goggles V2 for IG reels, but it doesn't give me 4x3 any workaround. I'm not sure if you can fly the 4x3 like that. And also, if you fly 4x3, you can't use gyro flow stabilization. It's a bit of a bummer. I know you don't want to mount a GoPro, but how much would you rate Avata? I did a video talking about the rates. I would recommend checking out the video I did. I feel like my rates work pretty well, but everybody's flying tastes are different. I haven't had a problem getting it into 4x3. It's just if you go into 4x3, yeah, you can stabilize it normally, but you're not going to be able to get gyro flow stabilization. So it's sort of like, I don't know. Guitar stuff, do I think so? I don't think they will. But again, you always got these wackadoos wanting to put these bills out there. So the more we can swat bills like this down, the better off we'll be. Trying to see. Ken only focused on the content. And yeah, I know you probably had a further interaction with these officers prior to him arriving. So we only got a chance to see the sensationalized version of what happened, but it's frustrating as all hell. And this is one of the reasons why, even when I fly with GPS drones and I'm by myself, I do fly with a GoPro on my chest, because when I have confrontations with people, it's just a good idea to have it documented, because, it's always going to be your word against theirs. But if you get them on video, they usually act a little bit differently. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about them banning it. I think it's a potential, like, the bill's worrisome, but I think there will be enough people to strike it down. I don't think we'll have it happen. Do I still talk to Philly Drone Life? I really don't talk to Philly Drone Life at all. I sort of, I mean, just being completely honest, I sort of distance myself from him. Um, I he made he's made some decisions that I don't support. So I just took a different approach, but I don't wish him any ill will, and I hope he's doing great. During my inspection, I wear a Karen repellent vest. Yeah, they work pretty well, actually. I will give them that. It went all wrong when I stated, allow me to land and then we can talk. So we've all been told, pissed him off. Oh boy. You think DJI will bring out a new FPV drone anytime soon? I mean, it's possible. I mean, it was a very popular drone. I think the Avata did fantastic. I would love to see another DJI drone. Did we get to 200? We're floating, man. Oh, we're at 200, 204 likes. Hell freaking yes. Way to go. I think that's the most we've done. Fantastic. Well, I guess we can call it a night, guys. I guess we'll just call it a night. Well, we did 200 likes. Everything went accordingly. There's no reason to believe that we need to keep streaming.
Maybe I'll just get out my head and focus on what I know's coming. Yeah. 'Cause I can't fall asleep at night without seeing my dreams. Delusionary. Muffin man, muffin man, muffin man, muffin man. Do you know the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man, the Muffin Man that lives on Drury Lane. Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man that lives on Drury Lane. Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man that lives on Drury Lane.
I want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight's fantastic stream. It couldn't have went any better. I wish you all well and stay original.